Hey Genies, it's Gwen. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new, thanks for joining. Subscribe to join the Genies. So today it's going to be a video that I've never done before, but I've seen a lot of people do this, and it's going to be story time. Today's story time is going to be my experience through 2 hurricanes that we've been through here in Florida. When we first moved here to Florida, our first hurricane was Hurricane Matthew. And a lot of you might know about that, and so we didn't really know what to expect because we had never lived in Florida before. It was our first year of living there. We had no idea what to expect, so we pretty much had to Google everything. It was our first time experiencing the fact that that everything was going to be sold out at the store, and just it was a long process. And we had to learn how to what special things we had to do to protect all of our windows, and we were all a little, I specifically was nervous because I had never been through a hurricane before, but that was just a general idea. So the night of Hurricane Matthew, I was sick. But anyway, so my parents chose the worst possible time to watch the last movie of Harry Potter. So we were watching Harry Potter, and then that's when Hurricane Matthew decided to hit. So we were just sitting on the couch. We were all sitting on the couch. My dad was sitting on in the chair, and we just decided. And we were eating ice cream, and we were having the time of our lives. But then Hurricane Matthew came, and then my mom and I took I know that's probably like the most dangerous thing you can do in a hurricane, but that we just peeked outside. There was wind blowing, there was a lot of rain, and just it was crazy. So we just wanted to see what it looked like because we had never gone through a hurricane before. So I'm going to continue with my story. I left off from when we stopped outside. So when we went back in, we watched the movie again. We continued watching it. And then we had a blackout. We pretty much had a blackout. We lost power again. And it was probably for 2 minutes, and I had a flashlight next to me because we didn't know when the power was going to go out. We didn't even know if the power was going to go out at all. So then the electricity came on probably a couple of minutes later, and it took longer for everything to restart. The Wi-Fi took longer, and the TV took longer, especially the Amazon Prime thing definitely took long. But we finished the movie, we went to bed, we hoped for the best. So this happened when I was in 8th grade. This was probably our most powerful hurricane we'd ever had. My dad works with the Corps of Engineers, so he works with all the dams and the locks and those sorts of stuff. So we were especially worried about my dad because the day of the hurricane, a few days before the hurricane, my dad had to go to work, and they had to get everything prepared. We kind of knew at that point that he had to stay behind. And that's just the moral of the story. He had to stay behind. So we decided we needed to evacuate. And our friend came over, Emily, you're probably watching this video, and she came over, she visited us, and it was for a few days during the hurricane, and she wanted to stay with my dad at his work because that's where he was going to be staying. So my mom and I were going to evacuate to North Carolina, and we took my aunt with us too because she lives in a mobile home unit, so all of them are mobile homes, and then everything has more of a chance to get destroyed. So we took her with us as well. And she had pretty much more stuff than we did. And it was just so scary. And we were going to take the guinea pigs with us. We were already taking the dogs. We have 2 dogs and we have 2 guinea pigs. So we were going to take them all with us. But then when my mom got a call from my aunt, she said, well, I'm bringing 2 big boxes. Can you fit them in your car? And my mom was like, yes, but we have 2 guinea pigs and 2 dogs. So we decided we had to leave the guinea pigs with my dad. So my dad was left with the guinea pigs. Now, how we got ready for Hurricane Irma was way different from how we prepared for Matthew, because we knew Irma would be more dangerous than Matthew ever was. The thing about Irma was that I took everything from my floor, off of my walls, like any collages or stuff. I just took them off. I knew, because I have a sliding glass door, but unfortunately we don't have any things to protect our sliding glass doors. I knew that my bedroom, and we have like 2 sets of sliding glass doors. We knew that probably my room and like the kitchen and the living room were all going to be pretty much destroyed at that point during the hurricane. But they survived. And we were also worried about our tiki hut, but that also survived. So anyway, when we evacuated, I took my big purple blanket because when we stopped at a hotel in Georgia, the room only had 1 bed. And and they told us that they were evacuating our area because we were like right on the border between Georgia and Florida. So we had to evacuate early. We got up in the morning, we ate breakfast, and then we just got out of there. We didn't even hesitate. We just packed, we ate breakfast, and we left. And then we went up to North Carolina. So we just went to stay with my aunt and uncle, who also lived in North Carolina, 20 minutes away from my grandparents. So we stayed with them. You know, it wasn't. I got to see my cousins, and what we heard was that our house lost power, and we didn't know if there was going to be any electricity, if there was going to be any clean water, if there was going to be any electricity, those sorts of like utilities. And school I was supposed to go back to school on Wednesday, but then they called us and they said, we're all gonna take off the entire week because there's so much damage. The school had damage to the had a lot of damage, and it was a crazy thing. So when we got back to where my aunt lives, it was the most dreadful thing I've ever seen. It was horrible because people lost their carports. Someone lost their roof. There's like a really big tree next to my aunt's house, like really close. So I think my aunt's house got lucky that the tree didn't fall on the house, because there was like one tree branch that fell, and it was a big tree branch, and it just fell. So I think my aunt's house was like one of the very few lucky ones that made it, and it didn't get destroyed. So, but she didn't have any electricity. There was no power or anything. So she didn't have any running stuff. So she just stayed with us until she was able to go back and live in her house. There was no air conditioning for her there. And when we came back, our house was back with electricity. Like, we had power. so we could charge our phones, we could charge our stuff, and that was basically what happened. And it was a really long process. And you know, guys, I think I'm gonna ask some of my family if they can, you know, never, but this is just my experience with Matthew and Irma. It might be different for you guys. Another thing is, when we came back through Georgia and we went through the town that we stayed in the first night when we left, it was flooded. Like, the lakes were over flooded, and it was just terrible, horrible. And so that's what happened. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will end the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye!